Good afternoon, I'm Mai Rodriguez.
And I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching a special edition of Newsfeed at noon as we monitor a major developing story today. Malacanang confirms the International Criminal Court has issued an arrest warrant for former President Rodrigo Duterte. The Presidential Communications Office says Interpol Manila received the official copy of the warrant earlier this Tuesday. The Prosecutor General then served the ICC notification upon Duterte's arrival at NAIA past 9 a.m. from Hong Kong. The PCO adds Duterte was examined by government doctors and is in good health. The former president is now under the custody of authorities. Let's bring in our correspondent Joash Malimban for more on this story. Joash, what's the latest?
Pinky, Malacanang Palace has confirmed that former President Rodrigo Duterte is now placed under police custody. An official statement by the palace was posted today stating that an arrest warrant by the ICC has been presented by the Department of Justice at 9:20 a.m. today. Duterte will face allegations of crimes against humanity. Cases involved in the ICC investigation include human rights violations from Duterte's mayoral term in 2011 until 2016 and his presidential term from 2016 to 2019 before the country officially forfeited its jurisdiction from the ICC in 2019. High-profile personalities present today were Senator Bongo and Attorney Vic Rodriguez, who spoke to the media about the current condition of the president. They argued that the president was being persecuted for only doing the right thing for his country. Data from Human Rights Watch, however, state that thousands of human rights abuses were committed under Duterte's rule, particularly during his aggressive war on drugs campaign. As of now, we are still waiting for the verification as to where Duterte is being detained, but there are reports that he is being held at the Villamor Airbase. But according to a statement released by ICC accredited counsel attorney Cristina Conti, Duterte must be flown to Hague, Netherlands immediately as per ICC rules. Back to you, Pinky.
All right, Josh, so are you still at NAIA? You're still at NAIA right now, and there's, I guess,
Yes,
there's
Pinky.
not much activity happening there anymore.
Exactly, Pinky. But we are going to NAIA Terminal 1 later to wait for the arrival of Vice President Sara Duterte and, of course, request for her comments on the arrest of former President Rodrigo Duterte. Pinky.
Right, Joash, because it is our understanding that the Vice President is also supposed to make her way back to Manila from Hong Kong sometime this afternoon from between 3 or 4 p.m. So we'll get back to you again a little later on. Thank you so much for that report, Joash Malimban.
Duterte's former chief legal counsel has claimed the government will violate the Constitution if it helps the ICC in arresting any Filipino citizen. On Bilyonaryo News Channel's On Point, Salvador Panelo insists the Hague-based court does not have jurisdiction in the country. This was countered by ICC Assistant to Counsel Attorney Cristina Conti.
Well, Malacanang should be counseled, should be advised, should be cautioned that the moment this government cooperates for the arrest of any Filipino citizen, whether that's President Duterte or other person, then it violates the Constitution. Hence, any police officer or group of policemen who effect the arrest of any Filipino citizen in violation of the Constitution, as well as the person ordering the assistance or the cooperation of this country to arrest a Filipino citizen in connection with a warrant of arrest illegally issued by a foreign institution which has no jurisdiction in our country, then the same government official is liable under the law.
Na pag-usapan na yan, nasara na yan, and even the Philippine Supreme Court has said we have continuing obligations with the International Criminal Court. Does the court exist? Yes. Did the court have jurisdiction over the Philippines when we were a member? Yes. And would the court have authority to issue a warrant as regards an investigation that started as early as February 2018. To February 2018, the preliminary examination started. June 2021, they started with the investigation, or they asked that the investigation be started. So from our point of view, this has been ongoing since 2018, at the time when we were still a member of the court. And if you remember, that is precisely why President Duterte asked by March 2018 to leave the court.
The Deputy Asia Director of Human Rights Watch lauding the ICC's arrest warrant for Duterte, Brian Lau, says this is a critical step for accountability in the Philippines. She adds his arrest could bring victims and their families closer to justice and sends the clear message that no one is above the law. She urges the Marcos government to swiftly surrender him to the ICC.
The day of reckoning has come. That statement from Akbayan's Percy Sendanya after police took custody of former President Duterte. The party list lawmaker says it's time for Duterte to face justice and take full responsibility for the thousands of deaths caused by his bloody war on drugs. Former Bayan Muna Congressman Nery Colmenares, an accredited counsel of the ICC, also welcomes the arrest of the former president. He calls it a significant step towards justice for the thousands of drug war victims.
And we now have on the line Attorney Nery Colmenares, accredited counsel of the ICC. Attorney Nery, good afternoon to you.
Hi, good afternoon, Pinky and Mai. Good afternoon to all your viewers.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. First of all, sir, what is your reaction to what happened this morning, the arrest of the former president, President Rodrigo Duterte?
Well, as I mentioned, this is a significant step. In fact, the first step towards justice, the implementation of the warrant. We have been asking for it for a long period of time. The families of the victims have been long asking for it. And the ICC, it took time. We filed the case in 2018, and it's now 2025. But at least, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak, for the families of the AJK victims that Duterte has been arrested and will be the first Asian to undergo trial in the ICC.
And what is supposed to happen after him being taken under custody by the PNP?
Well, technically, under the rules, of course, the custodial state, the Philippines or a third party or The Hague itself will be the venue of his imprisonment. But I would like to think that the ICC, considering the stature of President Duterte, will have him imprisoned in The Hague. No? So that's probably why he was brought to Camp Villamor. Can he file a case in the Philippines to question the arrest? Of course he can. He has all the right to do it. But he can also in the ICC. The ICC procedure allows the arrested person to file a proceeding to question the arrest in the ICC itself. And the ICC will consider whether or not his arrest was legal or legitimate.
Basically, you're saying that if he questions this, it has to be questioned before the ICC?
Well, he can question it before here, but if he's already there in the ICC, it's best that he questions it there in the ICC because it has jurisdiction over him. Depends on where he is, but he has all the options to do that, both here and in the ICC itself. The procedures allow him to question it.
However, what is expected after him being taken into custody? Is it expected, sir, that he be flown to The Hague immediately?
I think so. I think he will be flown to The Hague immediately. But we don't know what the reaction of the government is. You see, the ICC has no jurisdiction over him if the arrest has been implemented, and they have the right to decide where he will be brought. So hindi siya parang within the jurisdiction panino man. The ICC will decide on that. I would like to think that he will be brought to the ICC, but of course, there could be an arrangement that he could be detained here. But of course, depende na rin yan sa Malacanang if they want him detained here or in the ICC itself.
I guess the question, Attorney Nery, is sa mga ganito pong pagkakataon, kapag meron pong arrest warrant, doon ho ba sa arrest warrant, does it also state where the person, the respondent, is supposed to be detained? Would you be able to shed light on that?
Well, normally the ICC will not state the place of detention in the warrant. It's like most warrants, it has to be reported to the court that issued the warrant. He has to be brought to the court that issued the warrant under Philippine rules and laws. So, ganun din sa ICC, it was the ICC who issued the warrant. He should be brought there to the place to the court that issued the warrant. So, I think it's it's normal for him to be brought there after the warrant of arrest has been executed. So, yeah, sa tingin ko, baka dadalhin nga siya sa Hague na for that. Now, of course, depende yan sa maraming factors and we don't know where he will be detained ultimately. Dito ba sa Pilipinas o dalhin siya sa ICC, sa Hague?
There's a reaction from former Chief Presidential Legal Counsel, Salvador Panelo, basically saying that the arrest was unlawful. I'm going to read a portion of that. He
Yes.
says it's an unlawful arrest. The PNP didn't even allow one of his lawyers to meet him at the airport and to question the legal basis for PRRD's arrest. There's a longer message, sir, but could it be deemed unlawful because he was not given or allowed counsel?
Well, he has to be allowed counsel, of course. No, it's not a requirement that at the time of the arrest there has to be counsel, but at any time that he requests for it, he should be allowed counsel. That's, of course, the right of the person being arrested. With regards to his statement that it's violation of the Constitution, I don't think so. Because when the Philippines signed the Rome Statute, nung pumirma tayo sa Rome Statute, tinanggap natin na pwede ang ICC mag-issue ng warrant of arrest. At Pilipinas, Philippine government ang tumanggap noon. So, ibig sabihin, kinikin natin na ang warrant of arrest na in-issue ng ICC ay maaring ma-implement dito sa Pilipinas. So, mula namang nag-question yan for a long period of time. In fact, sa Supreme Court decision in Cayetano, nakalagay naman yan na sa Korte Suprema na may obligasyon ang Pilipinas na tuparin. Kasi Article 127, Pinky, nakalagay na talaga dyan at na pwedeng arrestuhin kung nasimulan na ang kaso bago ng withdrawal. Kasi nilagayan ng ICC ang 127 para may ngipin naman yung ICC. Kasi kung wala yon, o di the moment na maghabla sila ng kung sinong leader sa mundo, ang gagawin lang pala mag-withdraw, di tapos na yung kaso. Walang justice. So kaya nilagay yun at pumayag tayo eh. When we signed the Rome Statute, pumayag tayo na any pending proceedings before the effectivity of withdrawal, tuloy ang jurisdiction ng ICC. So hindi maganda na sabihin natin ngayon na hindi pwedeng gawin yon matapos na pumirma tayo sa International Criminal Court. So I don't see any reason na i-question yung legality and constitutionality ng arrest.
Attorney Colmenares, this is Mai. You're one
Hi,
of the
Mai.
you're one of the lawyers for the families of EJK victims.
Yes.
Have you spoken to any of them? Did they think this day will come?
Yes, natuwa nga ang mga pamilya ng biktima nang narinig yung arrest kasi matagal na nila hinihintay ito. 2018 pa, 2017 na matay ang kanilang anak, halimbawa, wala talaga silang forum dito sa Pilipinas. Hindi yun ang kinakasuhan Hindi hirap na sila kumuha ng death certificate minsan o police blotter. Ngayon, sa ICC sila dumulog, tumagal pa rin doon. And one of the reasons bakit tumagal, naghingi kasi ang Duterte government noon ng palugit More than 1 year yung binigay ng ICC sa kanila para lang masubstantiate nila o sabihin nila kakasuhan kasi namin yung involved dito. Hindi, walang nangyari. So the ICC continued it in 2021. So mahaba na rin ang hinintay nila. Kahit sino siguro nakikinig sa atin ngayon, pag anak mo ba pinatay na parang aso, tapos hanggang ngayon 2025 na wala pang nihaniho, wala kang hustisya nakikita, talaga nga namang matuwa ka kung sakaling at least nagkaroon ng liwanag, ng konting aninag doon sa paghanap nila ng hustisya. So iyon talaga, and they were in fact medyo na sila na parang hindi naman kino-confirm, pero ngayon confirm na na arestado na. I'm sure talagang part na yan ang namin hinihingi. Kasi hindi lang ito issue ni President Duterte This is also an issue about accountability. At sa iba pang gustong pamarisan siya. This is a warning to them. that accountability and justice will soon win over you. No matter how powerful you were, justice will catch up with you in the end. And this is the lesson of President Duterte, who was one of the most powerful presidents during his time. But now he has to face justice sa panawagan ng mga pamilya ng biktima.
Attorney Neri, just one more question. If you could just go through the process with us when this finally reaches The Hague. Hindi naman natin papangunahan, ano? Pero will any of the families of the victims will be able to confront or testify before the trial?
Well, when he arrives in the ICC, ang presumption natin tapos na ang investigasyon at magpo-file na ng kaso. Once the case is filed, the ICC, the pre-trial chamber, will convene a trial chamber, a trial court. Iko-convene doon pa lang. Pag na-convene na ang trial court at meron ng trial na magpapasok, we really hope na bigyan naman ng puwang, ng oportunidad ang mga pamilya ng biktima na maka-testify rin doon at masabi nilang hinaing nila. Kasi alam nyo, yun lang naman ang gusto nila. Alam nyo, ang trial sa ICC, hindi yan ibig sabihin convicted na si Duterte o acquitted. It's still to be tried. No? So kung ang hinahanap lang nila, oportunidad na masabi ang punto nila, at wala silang chance dito eh. So sana naman bigyan sila ng oportunidad na pag-testify doon. And of course, kung matalo, syempre, di talo. No? Pero kung panalo, di panalo. The points, gusto nila may forum na makasama sila. Of course, it's the prosecutor has the complete discretion kung paano nyo dalhin yon. But we hope that the prosecutor will give the family a chance to be part of this historic trial against an Asian leader who was charged with the killing of thousands of Filipinos, including their kin and their loved ones.
Attorney Neri, thank you for joining us. Maraming salamat. Former President Rodrigo Duterte was filmed speaking with his longtime partner, Hanilet Avancenia, before boarding a van with the CIDG. Let's watch this.
Asa si Bing Bong? Bong! Bong! Bong, halika Bong, tinan mo. Abusado kayo na sila. Abusado rin. Dili mo di dapat atong agian. Ayaw atong agian. Wala lagi wala. Bong, Bong, says Bing Bong. Dakan na pasar. Ano sa kay tayo lahat din?
Ayaw ko sa mabili tayo magkarga dyan. Lakaw na ayaw ay nagsitikon ng bata ayaw sila.
Ha? So, yung sigurete yun. Ano na kayo doon? Oo.
Nahuwara ang bata.
A new statement from former Chief Presidential Legal Counsel Salvador Panelo. He says former President Duterte's arrest was unlawful as the PNP didn't allow one of his lawyers to meet him at the airport and to question the legal basis for the arrest. Panelo adds the former president was deprived of legal representation at the time of his arrest. Panelo also insists the arrest was illegal because the ICC no longer has jurisdiction over the Philippines and the arresting officers can be held criminally liable. Panelo believes the arrest is politically motivated and related to the 2028 presidential elections. Breaking news this morning, the International Criminal Court issues an arrest warrant for former President Rodrigo Duterte. Paulo Barcelon is monitoring developments at Camp Crame. He joins us now for updates. Paulo, what can you tell us?
Good afternoon. There's still no sign of the former president here at the National Police Headquarters in Camp Crame. We're just a few meters away from the PNP Custodial Center. And as you can see behind me, take a look, media had been positioned in what appears to be a barricaded section of the road here. We're not allowed to go too close to the custodial center. We're still clarifying whether this custodial center will be the next destination of former President Duterte after he was arrested at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport earlier this morning. Now, officers are also deployed around the perimeter of the custodial center. And just to give some context, this is a departure from what the PNP called yesterday today as they denied that there are movements regarding the arrest of the former president. But right now, as we can see, things or the security here at the National Police Headquarters has been tightened, and as we can see right now, we're being limited to this particular portion of the road inside Camp Crame. We're not allowed to go way too close to the custodial center, and we're still waiting on final word whether or not the president would be brought here later this afternoon. Mai?
So, Paolo, as far as we know, the president was checked by doctors and he was brought to the Villamor Airbase from the NAIA. Yun pa lang ang alam natin. And this was confirmed by Malacanang.
Yes. So far, inaantay pa rin natin kung dadalhin ba dito, kung may convoy ba tayo nakita. So far, wala pa naman. Marami pa tayong nakita dito ng mga kasama natin sa media na katulad din natin ay nag-aabang dahil we're also still waiting on information kung anong oras dadalhin o kung dadalhin ba dito ang dating Pangulo. May?
So currently, right now, alam ba natin kung nasaan si former President Duterte?
From a police perspective, we don't know yet yung exactong location ng Pangulo, but we are hearing reports that he's still in Villamor Airbase, but we are also still verifying kung anong oras dadalhin dito or kung dito dadalhin ang dating Pangulo.
Okay. Paolo Barcelon, they're standing by at the PNP Custodial Center in Camp Crame. Thank you, Paolo.
All right, so I guess let's just also maybe annotate some of the videos that we have been showing here for those who might have just joined us. There has been an arrest warrant issued by the ICC to former President Rodrigo Duterte. This is one of the videos wherein he had left the plane on his way out, but he was taken in another area away from where the media was waiting. Here you will see General Torre there, the chief of the CIDG, and behind him, of course, a couple of other officials. And then, as you will see, it is the former president, Rodrigo Duterte, walking towards, the camera, the vantage point of the camera. This is, of course, after he had landed from Hong Kong. He took a Cathay Pacific flight back to Manila. He must have arrived sometime around 9:15, 9:20 in the morning. And it took a while, actually, before we were able to harvest and get more videos and, of course, more information. As Mai was asking a while ago where the former president is now, there's still no certainty, but it appears, and I hope we were able to speak to him in a while, that he might be in Villamor Airbase at the moment. We're going to try to get more information on that, but for now, we're going to take a very short break. Keep it here on Newsfeed at noon. And welcome back. We're now joined by former Senator Antonio Trillanes. Senator Sonny, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon po sa inyo, Ms. Pinky at sa ating mga viewers.
Sir, reaction to what happened today, the former president now under arrest?
Well, una-una, siyempre natutuwa tayo at finally, after 8 long years, simula nung final po ng mga magdalo itong kaso laban kay Duterte sa ICC, ay dumating tayo sa punto nito na naaresto na ang pinaka-mastermind na si Duterte. Pero ikuha ko lang po na ito po ay unang hakbang pa lang tungo sa hustisya na hinahanap po ng mga nabiktima ng EJK.
And dahil ito po ang unang hakbang, Senator Sonny, sa pagkaalam niyo ho ba, anong dapat mangyari from here? Because from what we know so far, he's been arrested. and possibly in Villamor Airbase right now. Authorities are tight-lipped about this. Wala po kaming masyadong makuhang impormasyon. It's a possibility that he will be brought to Camp Crame. Pero sa pagkaalam niyo ho ba, ano ho ba dapat ang mangyari after the issuance of an arrest warrant and he is taken or the former president was taken under custody? Ano ho bang dapat na susunod na mangyari?
At some point ho, kailangan po natin i-turn over ito si Duterte sa ICC sa The Hague kasi doon po lilitisin siya.
But when you say at some point, meron ho ba kayong alam kung immediately ba dapat yan or the former president can stay here in the country for a couple of days or can he even stay here for a while?
Palagay po hindi po ito kailangan pagdebatihan na parang forthwith na yun sa impeachment. Ito talagang agaran ito. Kasi wala pong reason kung bakit bakit siya mananatili pa rito. And besides, that will just give the Duterte camp an opening to pursue other legal remedies to prevent his turnover sa ICC. At alam din po ng Marcos administration yan that his continued presence here may cause political instability. Kaya it's in everybody's interest na mahatid na po siya sa dahig.
What happens? Take, for example, as you mentioned a while ago, that cases or petitions be filed before the Supreme Court. I'll give you an example, sir, because Attorney Sal Panelo is already calling it an unlawful arrest dahil hindi man lang daw pinayagan si dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte na magkaroon ng legal counsel, na magkaroon ng abogado habang sineserve po itong arrest warrant, basically to see the legality of this arrest warrant. There is a possibility, of course, that they can file or question this before the Supreme Court. What?
Pwede po. They can come up with all sorts of legal obstacles. Pero pagka nalipad na po yan sa dahig, magiging mutan academic kahit na ano pang magiging desisyon dito, tuloy-tuloy na rin po yung pagliliti sa kanya. Pero hindi po totoo yung sinasabi ni Mr. Panelo kasi kasama ho si Medialdea, si former Executive Secretary Medialdea. Oo, kasama siya doon. So technically, he was represented. Pero hindi po yan necessary sa mga aresto ng internet sa fugitive. Ibig sabihin nun, bago mo huhuliin, maghahanap pa ng abogado yung hindi po ganon. Kailangan lang siya, nababasahan siya ng kanyang Miranda rights, meron siyang right to an attorney at some point sa paglilitis, pero not in that very moment. That's what it means.
How much earlier on did you confirm that there was an arrest warrant, sir?
Meron po tayong mga nahagip na impormasyon, those who are privy to the investigation. So napasa po yung impormasyon na yon, pero because of the sensitivity of the operations, hindi po natin masasabi yun sa publiko. Otherwise, hindi po natin mararating itong punto na to.
Just quickly, sir, before I turn you over to my co-anchor here, Mai, hindi ho ba meron din pending na reklamo si General Torre laban kay dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte on inciting to sedition? Do you see that as a possible problem or conflict or concern?
Wala po. Ang magkakaroon lang ng concern dyan kapag naisampa na ho sa korte. So meron ng overlapping jurisdictions ng Philippine courts at nung ICC, in which case dapat magte-take precedence yung local courts. Pero wala pa ho Wala hong kasong nasa korte.
Mai?
Senator Trillanes, this is Mai Rodriguez. Thank you for joining us, Senator.
Yes, Ms. Mai. Yes.
Okay, Senator, we noticed the arrest warrant that we just showed on the screens dated March 7, correct?
Yes.
So, any word On Senator Bato de la Rosa, kasi may mga nagtatanong if a warrant has been issued for the former president. Senator Bato de la Rosa is also included in the charges of crimes against humanity.
Wala pa po. Wala pa. Pero dine-develop po yan. Darating din po tayo dyan. So, itong warrant of arrest po na ito ay para kay ano lang. Kay Duterte lang.
So right now, all we know, Senator, the former president is at the Villamor Airbase. We don't know kung dadalhin ba siya sa Camp Crame. But like you said earlier, in this case, with the ICC, there is some sort of urgency. Ano po? So is it possible that from Villamor, he will be taken or they will leave for The Hague within the day?
It is possible po, pero I wouldn't be privy to those operational details po. No? I will just be as good as any outsider trying to predict the next events.
All right. Thank you for your time, former Senator Antonio Trillanes. Let's get an update on Camp Crame with Abante Radio reporter Edwin Balasa. Edwin, ano nangyayari dyan? What can you tell us?
Linky and Mai, hanggang ngayon ay tikom pa rin ang bibig ng Philippine National Police kung ano ba talaga ang gagawin at saan ipupunta si dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte. Sa kasalukuyan kasi ay nasa Villamor Airbase ang dating Pangulo at patuloy pa rin ang pag-uusap ng mga opisyal ng kapulisan at kampo ni Senator Bongo, gayon din ang ilang personalidad na kaalyado nito. Patuloy pa rin nakaantabay ang mga media sa PNP Custodial Center sa loob ng Camp Crame sa pagbabakasakaling dalhin ito doon. Bukod dito ay naghigpit na rin ang seguridad sa loob ng Camp Crame. May nakaantabay din na media sa Cardinal Santos Medical Center kung saan dapat ay naka-schedule ang dating Pangulo sa kanyang check-up ngayong araw pagdating niya ng bansa. Sa kasalukuyan ay wala pang opisyal ng PNP dito sa Campo Crame na gustong magsalita tungkol sa mga inaasahang mangyayari sa dating Pangulo. Pinky and Mai, back to you.
Okay, maraming salamat, Edwin Balasa ng Abante Radio. Thank you for the update. Manila Representative Joel Chua urges former President Rodrigo Duterte and Vice President Sara Duterte to face the International Criminal Court to prove their innocence. The Dutertes are facing crimes against humanity before the ICC in connection with the war on drugs campaign during the previous administration. As one of the prosecutors in the impeachment trial of the Vice President, Chua explains that facing the court is the best opportunity to clear their names.
And we're taking another break. Stay with us here on Newsfeed at noon.
You're still watching Newsfeed at noon. We are on breaking news, special coverage. Former President Rodrigo Duterte now under the custody of authorities. He has been arrested upon his arrival from Hong Kong at the NAIA around past 9 this morning, and he has been brought to the Villamor Airbase. We now have our correspondent Joash Malimban at the Villamor Airbase. Joash, what do you know so far?
We're currently here at the Villamor Airbase, Gate 5, where supporters of former President Duterte has gathered, and several personalities from the media are also here to cover the event. Currently, supporters of former President Duterte are urging the Philippine National Police and personnel from the Airbase as well to release former President Duterte, chanting, "Pakawalan si Duterte, pakawalan si Duterte." And as of now, they are urging supporters of former President Duterte to gather here at the Villamor Airbase to show their support for former President Duterte. Earlier, we have interviewed Attorney Trixie Angeles of one of the legal counsels of former President Duterte, where she said that the arrest against former President Duterte might be illegal and unconstitutional because no physical warrant has been shown regarding the arrest of former President Duterte. In addition to that, one of former President Duterte's legal counsel, Sylvester Bello, is also here, saying that he has not been shown any physical warrant regarding the arrest. So right now, they are still studying whether they will countersue on this arrest because of the lack of legal technicalities for this case. Mai.
So Joash, as of now, ang alam natin, nandyan pa rin sa Villamor si former President Duterte. Sino ang mga kasama niya o who were allowed to be with him at this time?
It is confirmed that former President Duterte is here in the airbase, but as of now, hindi natin alam sino yung mga kasama niya dun sa loob. Right now, former Senators Bongo, former Congressman Ronald Cardema are here to show their support, but sabi ko nga kanina, hindi pa sila nakakapasok. The same with the legal counsel of former President Duterte. Hindi rin sila nakakapasok doon sa mismong loob ng airbase. Pero wala rin daw sila nakitang mismong arrest warrant. Yun yung kanilang sinasabi. Kaya illegal daw itong paghuli. Meanwhile, kanina sinabi na rin ng palasyo na meron ng nag-confirm sila na merong warrant mismo na nirelease or present ang DOJ prosecutors. Pero as of na wala pa rin kaming hawak na physical na arrest warrant, May.
So also we know, Joash, former President Duterte was escorted from the NAIA by top-ranking police officials dyan sa Villamor Airbase. Alam natin, nandun kanina si PNP Chief Marbil, si CIDG Chief Torre, and an Interpol representative. So is it safe to assume andun din sila ngayon kasama si former President Duterte dyan sa Villamor?
Hindi natin masabi for sure, Mai, pero marami dito ngayon nakabantay, parang more than at least 20 siguro na mga PNP personnel, naka-blockade sila dito, meron silang mga shield at hinaharang nila dito yung mga supporters ni former President Duterte. So maybe we can assume na merong PNP personnel din, higher PNP personnel nandun sa loob mismo ng airbase. Pero as of now, wala pa tayong confirmation sino mismo yung mga PNP personnel na yon.
Alright, maraming salamat, Joash Malimban, standing by for us there at the Villamor Air Base. Let's run again this video of former President Rodrigo Duterte speaking with his longtime partner, Hanilet Avancenia, before boarding a van with a CIDG. Let's watch this.
Asa si Bing Bong? Bong, halika Bong, tinan mo. Abusado kayo na sila.
Abusado rin.
Dili mo di dapat ato agian.
Ayaw
Lahi ato agian. Wala lagi wala. Bong, says Bing Bong. Ayan lang. Dakan na pasar. Ano sakay tayo lahat din?
Ayaw ko sa mga bebe makarga dyan. Lakaw na ayaw. Ikaw ng bata ayaw sila.
Ha? So, yung silente. Ano na kayo doon?
There you have it, first video of the former president talking to his partner, longtime partner, Hanilet Avancenia, as he arrived at the NAIA straight from Hong Kong earlier this morning. As we await further developments on this breaking news, let's take a look at some other headlines today. Malacanang has appointed an officer in charge for the Information and Communications Technology Department. Undersecretary Paul Mercado will handle the post until a permanent DICT head is named. Mercado also serves as the agency's USEC for special concerns. This development comes after Secretary Ivan Uy resigned last week for reasons still unclear. British Foreign Secretary David Lammy raising the alarm over China's actions in the South China Sea. In a video partly filmed alongside a Philippine Coast Guard vessel, Lammy called Beijing's activities dangerous and destabilizing. This follows a visit to the Philippines where Lammy and DFA Secretary Enrique Manalo signed a joint framework to boost defense and maritime cooperation.
A third of global maritime trade passes through the South China Sea. Growth in the UK and around the world depends on these trade routes being safe and secure. That's why we're concerned about dangerous and destabilizing activities by China in this region. The Philippines is at the sharp end of this, facing frequent challenges to freedom of navigation and international law. As maritime nations, we are committed to the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. By working together, we will enhance our security and prosperity and maintain a free and open Indo-Pacific.
And going back to our top story, the ICC's arrest warrant for former President Rodrigo Duterte. We have this new video shared by his daughter, Kitty Duterte. Let's watch this.
For detention and the basis for detention. So what is the law and what is the crime that I committed? Show to me now the legal basis for my being here. As apparently I was brought here not of my own volition. If somebody else says, kung hindi ibang tao, ikaw siguro, because this is your structure. So you have to answer now for the deprivation of liberty.
And before we go, let's do again a recap of the day's events. From last we know, the former president is currently at the Villamor Airbase. We are not certain where he will be brought, possibly to Camp Crame. The media is at Camp Crame. They are also at the Villamor Airbase and even at the NAIA because Vice President Sara Duterte is supposed to also arrive today. The former president, of course, issued an arrest warrant sometime this morning after his arrival from Hong Kong at more or less little past 9 this morning.
As per the statement of Malacanang, Interpol Manila officials served the arrest warrant upon Duterte's arrival in Manila from Hong Kong around 9:20 this morning, and he was checked by a doctor and he is in good health, according to that statement from the PCO.
Right. And we've shown some videos, of course, of the former president, his arrival, leaving the airplane. And we also saw, of course, some top officials there, namely the CIDG Chief General Torre. There are, of course, questions again on the manner by which the arrest was made. The former presidential legal counsel, Salvador Panelo, questioning this and saying it is unlawful. And also Attorney Trixie Angeles, according to the report of according to Josh, our reporter there at Camp Crame, he was able to speak to Attorney Trixie Angeles, who was also questioning this arrest because apparently there are issues on technicality if they were actually shown a physical copy of the arrest warrant issued to the former president. Now, the question, Mai, is where will he be brought? Will he be staying in the Philippines, in the country, for a couple of days or weeks? Will he question this arrest before the Supreme Court, or will he be brought to The Hague to face trial?
That is the question, but a statement earlier by ICC Special Assistant to Counsel Cristina Conti, she has been saying that according to ICC rules, that in this case, former President Duterte should be brought immediately to The Hague.
I remember a conversation or an interview with former Senator Sonny Trillanes. Sabi nga niya, dapat din dalhin na at hindi daw to yung para daw itong forthwith. Of course, talking about the forthwith trial should proceed, talking about the impeachment of Vice President Sara Duterte. So it was almost like a little bit of a jab or parinig, or nagpaparinig siya na dapat daw ito ay madaliin din, kumbaga, katulad nung nakasaad sa konstitusyon that the trial shall forthwith proceed. So there's still a lot of questions that need to be answered, and as our reporters have been out there, they are trying their best to get more information, of course, from authorities, because they have remained tight-lipped for the past hours. Basically, that's what we have right now. That's our breaking news.
Yes. We have reporters standing by at the Villamor Airbase where former President Duterte is currently at, but we also have reporters at Camp Crame today. And please stay with us. Do stand by. Those are the news this hour. I'm Mai Rodriguez.
And I'm Pinky Webb. This is a special edition of Newsfeed at noon. Keep it here on the Bilyonaryo News Channel.